aim to motivate and inspire viewers to enjoy the clothes they wear as an expression of their personality and their beliefs. This is the Slow Wardrobe. Come and have a look. Hello, welcome to episode 59 of the Slow Wardrobe podcast. My name is Linda and I am your host. In this episode, as per usual, I will give you an update on my knitting antics before we dive into the layer cake section. In the layer cake section today, I will be talking very specifically about the pre-order that I've got running at the moment of a Double-face Mini Tabard. That is a double-layered Mini Tabard, which effectively acts as a bit of a body warmer, 2 extra layers with a little short garment on your torso. A very old-fashioned concept to keep the main part of your body warm so that all of you stays warm. But more about that in layer cake. I'll put a timestamp at the bottom here for those of you who would prefer to skip my blathering about my knitting and skip ahead to layer cake. But if you do like to hear me talk about my knitting, then stay tuned because that's what we're going to talk about first. Right, so yes, my knitting. As I was hoping and kind of half promised last time, I've actually managed to finish my colorwork project. It's the fastest colorwork project that I've ever produced, and it was fueled by motivation. This is the October jumper by Jaki Bogg, knitted with one of her kits and her hand-dyed yarns, which are called hot butter yarns. It's a relatively fine DK yarn, and it is fabulous, as you can see, for colorwork. Now, the jumper is supposed to be relatively short. It is 56 centimeters in length from neck to hem across all the sizes. And I liked that idea. And rather than knitting it fitted, which is it's fairly fitted, it's knitted with like an inch maybe of positive ease, I thought I'm going to take the opportunity to make it cropped like that and have that cropped length of about 22 inches, but then knit the biggest size, so I end up with a boxy wide jumper. And everything was looking good, and it was progressing fine. It is a jumper that you knit from the bottom up, so because you don't knit it yoke down, it's not as easy to try it on in the course of your make. And the only first time that you can try it on is if you have started decreasing for the yoke. Now, the way the pattern is written is that, of course, all the numbers are extrapolated for the larger sizes. But at the moment, Jaki is changing the pattern to bring the neckline back in, because with that extrapolated number of stitches, then in the largest size you end up with a very wide neckline. And regardless of the fact that I am not actually the large bust circumference that the biggest size is designed for, of course, even if I had the bigger circumference, my neckline would not be proportionally wider. You have to bring that neckline back in to ensure for a perfect fit. And Jaki hadn't done that yet in the pattern, so I ended up with a neckline that was sitting where this dark line is. So the official end of the yoke was at the top of this light grey and chartreuse little motif. And that motif is going wider in the back to supplement for the slightly higher neckline in the back. So I'd done all that, but then when I tried it on, I realized that this jumper is going to fall off my shoulders. It's too wide. So I ended up adding about 3, nearly 4 inches of extra motifs I just chose some of the motifs that had been used further down in the jumper. I had to supplement some colors because, of course, I was getting to the end of my knit, so I was running out of colors. And I added all of these decreases and extra motifs in to end up with a neckline that is nice and close to my neck. That, of course, does a couple of things, though. It ensures that you end up with a neckline that fits well, but it also adds length, some of which is translated to the overall length of the jumper. And that, together with the fact that I knitted it oversized in the first place, resulted in a very different proportion, a very different silhouette from what I had in mind. This jumper is, especially on this tiny mannequin, nearly 7 inches longer than the original. And that's not because of anything being wrong with my gauge. My gauge was fine. It's a combination of the extra yoke and the fact that the bigger jumper is being worn by a smaller model. The result of that, though, is that, of course, on me as well, the proportions of the jumper were very different from what I had in mind. I have learned from that I need to be very specific and exactly what kind of dimensions I want. But the bigger problem is that I absolutely adore this color palette, and it really does not love me back. I am, in color seasons terms, I'm a very cold, icy winter. That means that light, icy and very strong cold colors look best on me. One of the reasons that the Brighton Rock pink, you know, the very super bright pink, looks fantastic on me. I've had to learn to love that. But this palette can very easily be summarized as an autumn palette. It is warm and it is very tonal, and it is full of beautiful, warm, complementary colors. And although it is a fantastic palette, on me, it's one of those 1 + 1 = 0. It's like the jumper and I cancel each other out when I wear it. It's just a shame, together with the proportions that don't really work that well on me. So here I was, having knocked out this jumper in, I think, about 5 weeks or so. I was quick with this one, and it doesn't look good on me at all. However, my other half lives for his tweeds and lives and dies in autumn colors, and they look great on him. So he saw this jumper and he said, "Oh, that's rather nice." I said, "Would you like to try it on?" It looks $1 million on him. I'll get him to model it and I'll put a photograph of it here. The bottom line is, well, you can see it. It's a colorway that really suits him. He loves wearing brighter colors like this. It's right up his street and it looks phenomenal on him. So, win. Together with that extra yoke length, that meant that the sleeves, knitting those to the standard length, all of it works for him, even though he is 6'1" or 6'2", so he's a tall guy, ends up looking fantastic. So you win some, you lose some, and then you win them back by giving them to someone you love. So now, that was my journey of the October jumper, and I'm really happy to have been able to give the feedback to Jaki about the yoke. It gives her lots of information to make whatever changes she sees fit to the pattern. Obviously, she does not have to do what I did. This was just how I modified it and how it ended up working for me, or rather for him at home. And him at home doesn't have much to complain about at the moment, because for those of you who watch this regularly, you may remember that I was considering, shall I knit for myself first or shall I knit for him at home first? Because you may remember that I was going to knit him a sweater as well, which is the Halibut by Caitlin Hunter. I'll show you the halibut again here. And then right next to me, you can see the progress that I've made so far. I've pinned it using my stitch markers that I've put a stitch mark at the start of each repeat of the pattern because I knit this while I'm watching TV, so it's useful to know where my pattern repeats are so I can be really mindfulness and just look at my repeats of what I do when I knit color work like this. Is at the beginning of the row I look and I'll see like, oh, it's 3 1 3 1 3, etc., you know, whatever the color combination is, and then I just repeat those numbers in my mind, and I have to only remember that sequence once until I get to my next stitch marker. I don't really look at my knitting. I'm looking at the TV and I'm paying attention to the TV program, and in combination with running those numbers in my mind, I find that extremely relaxing and rewarding. And fast, of course, because I finished this at the weekend and here I am already well into my yoke. Now this yoke is very, very long. This is just a first, as you could see on the photograph, this is just like first little diamond pattern, and then we get the tail and an entire fish. So I think the yoke is going to finish almost at waist length. And just showing the back of it here. This little baggie has got my balls of yarn in it. I'll tell you more about the bag in a minute. And at the back here you can see that the distance between my neckline and the start of the yoke is bigger here because I've put in short rows to compensate for the roundness of the back. I really enjoy that with top-down jumpers or yoked jumpers in general. I always put those short rows in because I really don't like the effect of a jumper that has the front and back knitted completely symmetrically. I always put in extra rows even if the pattern doesn't call for them. In the case of Caitlin's jumpers, they do. Her jumpers always include the short rows, so that makes that very easy. And as you can see here, there's about 2.5 inches between the edge of the neckline and the start of my yoke. And in the front, you can see that that's only about 1 inch. So that denotes that difference. Then the other thing that is optional in the pattern, make sure that she doesn't fall over, that she stands up nicely. There we go. The other thing that's optional in the pattern is the pattern gives you 3 different options for necklines. You can either just knit 1 inch or so of rib at the top and just create a crew neck. You can create a mock turtle, which is about 4.5 inches in length. And then you can create a full turtleneck by knitting something like 8 inches or something like that of the rib that you then obviously fold over. What I've done is I've gone for a distance of, I think it's about 3.5 inches. So I'm about 1 inch short of the mock turtleneck because I didn't want it too high because Peter will find that too warm to wear. But I also wanted to go a little bit further than just a crew neck. So I've got a little bit of standy up neckline here, and in fact I do have enough fabric. If he decides that actually he doesn't like the feel, then I could fold that in and sew it down and create a really nice and generous crew neckline that is about 1.5 inches or close to 2 inches in length and is completely knitted double. So I have those 2 alternatives if I need to fall back on them. Meanwhile, nearly at the start or at the end of that first diamond, and then I'm into the knitting the fish. The yarn that I'm using is Appledore DK by John Arbon. And as you know, I'm a big fan of their yarns. I am still relishing the wearing of the poncho, the stripy poncho, the Yarnadelic poncho that I designed and knitted and then felted in my dryer. Kits of those are still available, showing you a picture of it here. So that's the Yarnadelic, and that is the same kind of yardage, 250 meters per 100 grams, as the Appledore DK. But Appledore obviously is a different yarn with different fibers in it. It's quite rustic when you feel it on the ball, but then when it's knitted, it kind of softens already. So I really can't wait. What I didn't do was knit a swatch and then block it to see how the yarn would bloom. But I have no doubt that this yarn will bloom beautifully. I like its rustic feel. Peter enjoys wearing rustic jumpers. Compared to the hot butter yarns, there's definitely a difference. This has got slightly more toothy and it feels slightly thinner, although I think in yardage is quite similar. So it's maybe a slightly more worsted spin. It looks like from a construction point of view, it looks like a 2-ply. So I can't wait to see what this does once I block it when it's done, and I think it'll go a lot more fuzzy than it is now. But of course I'll report back on that. If I keep up my current knitting mojo, then at the next episode, which I'm actually going to skip one because it ends up being very close to New Year's Eve. So we're now on the 15th of December. And the next episode will come out in the second week of January. Just skipping one episode. By then, I should be well into this jumper and maybe even done with it. Because once that fish yoke is finished, the entire rest of the jumper is just knitted in stockinette with ribbed cuffs. So once I'm onto my stockinette, I'm really going to be motoring. So I'll keep you posted. I'll put photographs on Instagram of my progress as well, once I've got a little bit more progress to show. And that really has been my only knitting. I've gone from the jumper straight into the next one. Haven't touched any socks. I normally really get stuck into socks in the run up to Christmas, and I haven't done any. I've been very monogamous because I was so keen to finish this so I could wear it. Oh dear. So of course, just to console myself, I've already been looking at alternative jumpers to knit and playing with other ideas. I've been looking at some of Di Gilpin's design. There is one design that I keep coming back to. I'll put a picture of it here. Keep forgetting what it's called. It's a really, really nice jumper that instead of color work, it has cables that create really nice texture. But I also have some of the gorgeous mohair and also cashmere yarns that I've bought from Millie at Tribe Yarns. So I'm kind of torn as to what I want to do next and whether I'm going to go into that Di Gilpin jumper or whether I maybe design something myself with the mohair yarn, which I want to hold together with one of my linens from the Tribe Yarns mohair that I bought, which is an art yarn. Again, I'll put a picture here if I can. If not, I'll at least put the details below. So haven't decided on that yet. Don't have to decide on it yet because, of course, I'm stuck into this jumper first and the socks are not getting much love at the moment. The only love that my socks are getting are the little project bags that they live in. This is another of the gorgeous project bags that I buy from Zuzana at Trava Wool. This is one of hers where she uses recycled fabrics that she then hand dyes and then she embroiders on them with her merino and silk hand dyed with natural dyes yarns. And there are labels like this telling me exactly what is on the outside, on the inside of the bag. So again, I couldn't resist. I bought another bag. And it's big enough still at the moment to put this knitting and these two balls in. I can just about cram it in. Of course, it's going to grow out of this little bag very quickly. But then I've got some bigger ones to use. Meanwhile, all those socks that I'm not knitting on rest in little bags like this as well by Zuzana, and that's the last thing that I wanted to draw your attention to before we jump into layer cake this episode, because as you may or may not be aware of, I got some more of the lovely project bags made by Zuzana, embroidered by her, but using the layer cake linen offcuts that I sent her. This is an example of the cutest little bag, which is big enough for a one skein project, in moth, embroidered with these cute little blue flowers. I've just put a couple of examples of the bags that are still left on the table. She sent me quite a lot of them, so I actually have a decent number left. A whole bunch of them sold last weekend, but I have a nice selection still, and some of them are here. This is the ochre, an example of the ochre herringbone, and it's lined in the black herringbone, and then again embroidered in these beautiful blue cornflowers. Now I hope they're cornflowers, I don't actually know. All the bags have slightly different measurements, you can see, and the measurements are listed on the website for each bag separately, so you can check exactly what kind of measurements you would be buying. Here, if I open it, you can see that this one is quite square, for example. Steel herringbone on the outside with black herringbone on the inside, and then these cute little flowers, and a couple of little flowers on the back as well with this one. Sometimes she puts these gorgeous little details on the back. And here is one that is an oblong shape, again with blue flowers and some on the back as well. So if these appeal to you, oh, I forgot to say, this is apple, a herringbone on the outside and black herringbone on the inside. So all of that is specified, the fabrics used as well as the measurements on the listing on the website. So if these appeal to you, have a look, because there's a decent selection of them left. And that's about it on the knitting and knitting related paraphernalia. Depending on when you are watching this podcast, I can tell you that on Monday, Monday the 20th of December, I will still have a collection of orders being sent out. So Sunday night, the 19th of December, is your deadline for placing orders if you want to be guaranteed, in the UK that is, if you want to be guaranteed to receive your order in time for Christmas. There are still loads of nice little tools and other gift ideas on the website that you can have a look at if you are stuck for any last minute gifts, darning tools and little scissors and things like that as well. So have a look if you're stuck for ideas. But for now, I will sign off on the knitting side, and let's move into layer cake, and let's have a look at one of the little unsung heroes, this time in a double face, the mini tabard. Enjoy. So here is the first pre-order for delivery in 2022. And it's a mini tabard. Not just any mini tabard, but a double-face mini tabard. The idea came to me after we made a couple of wool mini tabards to order and sent those out. And then on the back of doing the Ganzi, which of course is double-sided, I thought, hang on a minute, why don't we do that with the wool tabards, the wool mini tabards, and turn them into a kind of body warmer of sorts. Of course, it's not super warm. It's not filled with down or anything. It's just the 2 layers of fabric. But you end up with a garment that gives you not 1 but 2 extra layers, where you need them most on your torso, and with something that you can wear on both sides. So this is the wool side out of the ink chalk stripe. I'm going to show you all the different colors, but starting with this one. This is the only made up sample that I have at the moment. The most important thing though is to see it with a couple of different outfits and get the idea of what the concept behind it is, and of course showing you what it looks like worn on either side. So this is the ink chalk stripe wool on the outside, and now I'll show you the magpie that is on the other side. And here's the magpie. Ink chalk stripe on the inside, magpie out. Now I'm showing them here with my black herringbone baggies and the steel love dress in the petite length, and it's partially to show you how well the mini tabard goes over the fit of a love dress, but also to show you contrasting color so you get a real good impression of the shaping that we've put in the mini tabard. You can see that it's got some nice waist and hip shaping, and that it finishes well above your pocketses, so you can always reach your pockets, and that goes for all the different layer cake models. I will show you different ones in the course of this hopefully not too long video. Let me start by showing magpie on magpie. Here's my magpie dress, my magpie love dress, and then with the mini tabard, the double-sided mini tabard, but with the magpie on the outside. What do you think? I really like this look. I often have combinations where I have the same color of different garment, different layer cake garments on top of each other, and especially with the mini tabard, that's really effective because you get those extra lines in a slightly changed silhouette, and of course you get all the extra warmth without putting lots of layers all over your body. So let me swap this one around and show you the ink chalk stripe on the outside. Ta-da! This is a really good example of how different fabrics that have very similar colors can look differently in different light. So I need to see this back once I've recorded it, but my guesstimate is, because I've tried to throw extra light at these videos to be able to show you lots of detail, the magpie of course is super matte because it's this slightly fulled wool fabric which is very matte, as opposed to the magpie linen which has got the tiniest bit of sheen on it. So when you see these two fabrics next to each other in normal daylight, they look very, very close to each other in color indeed. But when you then see them in different artificial lights, you start seeing differences, and this looks slightly darker, which of course is a different look and also very effective. And one of the ways in which this can be combined very effectively is by putting black trousers underneath, because it highlights that darkness of the ink chalk stripe. So I'll put on some black trousers and show you the difference. Black palazzos, magpie love dress, and then the ink chalk stripe double-face mini tabard. Do you see how close this looks to black when worn like this? And it makes for a really, really nice, subtle color variation in the outfit. It's still all very close to each other in color, but not completely the same. And of course you can change that up by making combinations like this. This is a pair of the violet palazzos, then a violet love dress. This is the whole outfit is a size 2, so that's the extra large violet palazzos, the regular length size 2 violet love dress, and then a size 2 mini tabard. This is in the black linen, but it's to show you how effective the addition of a mini tabard can be to an otherwise different color outfit. And right next to that you'll see a pair of palazzos as well in charcoal, then combined with the charcoal stripe love dress, and over the top of that, one of these, the ink chalk stripe mini tabard. So all to illustrate what a mini tabard can do to an outfit. And to give you a couple more examples, because I don't show the mini tabard that often, I'll put some more mini tabard outfits together. For example, in combination with a white shirt. Here it is. White shirt in a size 1. This is the palazzos, the longer length in the large size, and then my mini tabard, my double-face mini tabard over the top. Big contrast, which is always really effective, of course, and it really shows off both the lines of the shirt with a beautiful flowing line, longer in the back, shorter in the front, and then the angles of the mini tabard over the top. And of course, it creates a lot of extra warmth. It doesn't restrict my movements in any way. It's super comfortable, like layer cakes are meant to be. And if you have been wearing layer cake for a longer period of time, then you may well have some smocks and tabards in your wardrobe. So let me show this with a smock and a tabard as well. Same outfit, but I've added a smock in the peacock colorway. This beautiful bluey, greeny, it really is, it's a good name for it because it really reminds you when you see it up close of the blue and the green shades that are in the sheen of peacock tail feathers. So peacock smock, I've got the mini tabard with the linen side on the magpie side on the outside, because I don't just want to show you the wool side all the time. So this is magpie on the outside and the wool on the inside. And you can see now that it's slightly lighter, of course, than the black of the palazzos. So let me swap the smock for a tabard and show you that combination as well. And here it is again, magpie on the outside with an even darker color. This is the dark teal, and that was specifically to show you how the magpie and the dark teal work against each other. And then of course still with the black underneath of the palazzos. And now I will show you the ink chalk stripe on the outside as well, just to show you the difference. But I specifically wanted to show you magpie and dark teal together because they're two very popular colors and they go so well together. But here's the ink chalk stripe. And there it is. Now, something I just remembered I really should tell you about is that we cut the mini tabards just a smidge more generous than the other layer cakes of the same size. So the smocks, the tabards, the play suits, the dresses, a size 1 is a size 1 throughout, size 2 is size 2 throughout. That goes for the mini tabards as well, but the chest measurement of the mini tabard is just that little bit extra. It's not much, but it's enough to make throwing it on over the top of another layer cake really comfortable. So that's something to keep in mind as well. And that works, of course, really well with these double-faced ones too. So if your layer cakes are quite fitted, then you don't have to worry about thinking that you might have to switch it up a size for this double-faced mini tabard. You don't have to. It'll fit beautifully over your fitted layer cakes. Now I'm going to show you the other colors, of course, of the mini tabard. There's one other outfit though that I have in mind. I'm just going to check whether that works. Hang on a minute. Remember talking last time about not feeling that comfortable wearing dresses and always feeling dressed up? And I completely forgot to add the wave dress in the equation. Because it's a very long dress, you wouldn't think that quickly about combining it with a pair of trousers. But look at this. I love it. And then with the mini tabard over the top. Now, this of course is super contrast, and some of the other colors of the Double-face Mini Tabard are not quite as contrastful as this. So this is a great thing to wear if you like the contrasts. I would wear this entire outfit except for the white shirt. I would change the white shirt probably in a tight fitted long sleeve t-shirt, either in this dark color or maybe in more of a raspberry. So I'd play around with what I've gotten and see what works well. But somehow this shirt, in my opinion, doesn't go that great with the rest of the outfit. It would do without the mini tabard, without that big contrast. But if you wear something this contrastful, then I would take some of the contrast away that this shirt adds. I hope I'm making sense. So, but most importantly, I wanted to show the wave dress, first of all, with a pair of trousers, and then second, with this mini tabard. For all of you who have a wave dress, consider wearing it with a mini tabard, or a tabard or smock, of course. But what about this mini? I think it's a wonderful example, again, of how adding a mini tabard really transforms the outfit. You know what? I'll take the mini tabard off so you can also see the dress and the shirt like that without the mini tabard. I will pull the shirt down properly because, of course, there, with my antics of getting dressed and undressed. Look, there it is. Great with a shirt, isn't it? For colder weather. So, your wave dresses, not just for the summer, but also for layering. Lots of layering, and it feels fantastic with the trousers and then the dress over the top. Hope you like it. Now, let's look at the other colors for the Double-face Mini Tabard. I will wear two of the colors that I have in the shape of tulip dresses, just to illustrate the fabric. Here we go. Okay, first up is the blue marl window pane wool. And I'm showing you this as a tulip dress because I haven't got the mini tabard, Double-face Mini Tabard yet. And also with a pair of the high-low trousers in the blue marl window pane. So if you like this fabric, then one thing you can consider, of course, is to have the blue marl window pane high-lows, and then any other layer cake in between, and then the blue marl window pane mini tabard, the Double-face Mini Tabard. And that makes a really nice outfit in the sense that the fabric comes back twice, but with something completely different in between. But secondly, it's a really interesting combination if you consider what we're lining it with, because it's lined with the blue crossweave that we use for the medium weight linen. So this is not the heavy weight that we use for the smocks and tabards, but this is the medium weight that gets used for the step tops, for example, and the dusters as well. So as you can see, it's virtually the same color and slightly lighter and a slightly different blue than the magpie. The magpie, when you can see them next to this blue crossweave, the magpie has a slight, ever so slight greenish element to it, whereas this is a true blue-black. So you can see it next to the window pane. That's the lining of the mini tabard. So that's combination number one. And like I said, tulip dresses and high-low trousers are available in that same wool. And the other combination, which I will show you next, bear with me so that I don't create a complete drama that then takes me ages to correct afterwards. Tidy this up again. And then the other combination that I want to show you that at least I have a garment in is the pink herringbone. The pink herringbone wool. I have that in the shape of a tulip dress as well. So I'm going to show you the tulip dress. And we're going to line that with slightly more contrasting color. You may have seen it on the website already. And the color that we're lining that with is Sweet Pea. But let me put on the pink herringbone so I can illustrate properly. So here we have the third color of the Double-face Mini Tabard combined with a lining of Sweet Pea. The softest, slightly pinkish lilac-y blue, and that pinkishness together with the grayish blue looks really fantastic against the pink, the marled pink of the herringbone. The herringbone is a bright pink combined with a marled grey. And when I held the marled grey fabrics that we have against it, didn't look great when it was too stark a contrast. When I held the bright pink, which is the exact same pink as the wool in the linen against it, it didn't really work either, because optically the pink and the grey marl, they blend together to a point that they really make a new color. So I didn't like either of them. And then I noticed the Sweet Pea, and that is just as an icy contrast to that pink, a wonderful combination. So hope you agree. This is number 3. And then last but not least, the winter white. Most people will shy away from wearing such light colors. We've really noticed that with the linen small check, the neutral check as well. With baggies and things like that, dresses are more easy for people, but everybody's very conscious of wearing very light colors. And despite the fact that you can chuck them in the washing machine, it's not something that is a first choice for a lot of people when they're choosing their layer cakes. So when it came to doing a lighter color for the mini tabard, I figured, well, because you'll be wearing it over the top of other things, it's a little bit of a different story than making a big long garment out of it. So hence the winter white wool for a mini tabard, but then lined again with something quite different and unique, namely the Jupiter colorway of the limited edition festive dusters. We've got a little bit of it left, as you can see, and because of its coloring, it is fantastic together with the wool. It also makes a really interesting alternative side to wear on the outside with your other layer cakes, and especially with the neutral check. So if I can manage it, I will show you a couple of alternative combinations with a mini tabard in this colorway. And then the last thing that I wanted to highlight to you, it was really putting on the blue marl window pane high-lows that I thought, oh, of course, we have baggies in the ink chalk stripe. So they could also be worn very effectively, not only with the magpie, which is in the love dress, which is a wonderful combination, if you hadn't clocked that already, but we have, of course, have now brought both of those fabrics together in the ink chalk stripe Double-face Mini Tabard. So I thought I'd highlight, bring to your attention again that we've got those baggies and we've got them in stock, so they can be ordered together with your pre-order Mini Tabard, if you like. And that goes for the Blue Marl window pane high-lows as well with the Mini Tabard. So saves for me to thank you for the watching that you've done throughout this episode, previous episodes. If you've been following me for longer, I'm going to take a short break over Christmas and New Year's and be back with you early on in January. I wish you have a wonderful break, wonderful festive period. I wish you all a very happy and healthy start of the new year. And of course, I'll see you again soon.